Welcome to My Favorite CX, a podcast that celebrates exceptional customer experiences. To listen to today's, please choose from one of the following options.
Welcome to My Favorite Customer Experience. I'm Chris Holt from Holt CX Consultancy here in the UK. And on a chilly winter evening, I'm joined by someone on the other side of the world, Sarah. Welcome to My Favorite CX.
Yay! Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And Sarah, you're from Epical Growth. You empower leaders to create transformable change, which is a long word for me. And you're also a customer service leader. So you oversee strategic direction for customer experience initiatives. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what all of that means? What is it you actually do?
Well, I don't just find really hard words for people to say and enjoy watching them try and to get through them. Maybe I do, but that's fine. But really, I've been in and around CX for about 20 years, building support teams from the ground up, scaling them, handling all aspects of the customer experience. Over the last year, I had the honor of starting my own podcast, Epical Growth, and I get to talk to great leaders doing great things and celebrate them. And oftentimes, these fantastic leaders emerge in the CX space because we are folks that are very skilled in handling the different ways that people communicate and understanding those nuances on a very, very deep level. And it's been a blast getting to learn so much from these people that I admire.
And we first met at Elevate CX over in London, and I think that was one of those kind of events where the energy in the room, it just felt like a really safe space where everyone was on the same side. I mean, I know I wound up the AI players in the room by going, who's been sold AI in the last 5 minutes? But it felt like one of those rooms where you get to connect with people that are doing similar jobs, similar functions, and really, really network well.
No, I couldn't agree more. It came later in my career where I realized how beautiful this community is and how we are all so like-minded with very similar struggles. And it may feel like we're the only ones having to go through these things, or we're the only people that are coming up against these blockers. But if you allow yourself to be vulnerable and step into a community like Elevate CX and ask a question, you will be blown away by how eager to share and help that everyone in the community is. And so it's been one of the highlights of my life getting to meet everybody through Elevate and speak at the events and learn. And it's a very, very special place.
Absolutely. And thinking about the community, but also the wider technology piece, what's exciting you within customer experience at the moment?
I'm really pumped for 2025 because I think that we're getting over this hump of the shiny new toy of AI coming and replacing everything and all of those fiery words that come bouncing around everywhere. And the folks that are outside of CX, because us in CX have known this for a really long time, but the people that are outside of CX that usually hold the budget are actually realizing that nothing can replace the power of a quality customer experience department. And your only real hope to survive as a business is to make the customer experience at the center of every decision that you make. And the only way to do that is to provide those teams with the resources and the tools that they need to do their job well, because this is a very, very skilled group of people that are running these CX spaces, and they have so much data that could completely change your career trajectory as a business. That's not an actual thing, career trajectory as a business. I just made that up. But you know what I mean? And it's a cool time. I'm pumped to see how things evolve, the conversations change, the voices that are getting louder within the CX space, because we finally have the confidence and the platform to say what is on our mind, and that there are so many systemic issues with how customer experience departments are treated and businesses need to do better.
It certainly feels like for a long time, customer service, customer contact centers have been just seen as a cost to a business.
Yeah,
And,
and they still are, but it's
yeah,
getting better.
and everyone within that space has been saying, well, we've got information, we've got data here. It's not just anecdotal, but it does feel like the last couple of years that data has now just gone breadth. There's
Yeah.
so much data now, but that actually means we can improve things and we can actually say, this isn't an anecdote now. This is why we can change things. To your point, this is how businesses can redefine themselves as customer
Right.
first.
Right. And not just put that as your tagline and then, never follow through. It's your actions speak louder than words. And the way that your customers feel about the people that are serving them or the choices that businesses make to have bots serve them ineffectively are what tells them how the company values them. And with so many companies doing the same exact thing, except for maybe a couple of things that are a little tiny bit different, customers now have the ability to pivot anytime they feel the slightest, this doesn't feel like this fits me anymore. And churn is just nuts because this isn't how it used to be. This is a totally new era where the customers do hold all the cards. You can shift services easily nowadays. You're not stuck. And it's the companies that realize this and build those foundations that are actually driven by CX leaders instead of folks that think they know what it means to provide quality service or extract information in specific ways. No, we've got folks now that have been doing this for 20 years. We are veterans. We are very skilled. Uh, and it's going to change the game for those companies that actually lean into it.
And it is one of those that for a long time it didn't matter where you had monopolies in industries.
Yeah.
And before you had multinational and businesses wherever, you could essentially have a really low bar for service and it didn't matter because your customer was stuck. But
Yep.
now anyone can pretty much move any service to anything they want. So, and customers also rarely forget the bad, which is why this podcast is here, so we can remember the good, which we'll get to in a moment. But I think your point of how people are made to feel, there was something that happened with my bank a while back, and that stored up here for like, well, at some point, I might need to call back on that and go, well, actually, that wasn't good enough. And it's how many strikes do you give a service, and it kind of depends on what you use that service for, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's such a great point because we are all consumers. Every single person is a customer of something. And we all know how quickly we are on our phones when something, you get an email and it doesn't actually answer your question because they didn't read your email because they're probably so stretched, so thin because they don't have the resources that they need that they're just trying to bang through as fast as they possibly can. And that's everybody that's just trying to do their best when they're on customer service teams. But then you remember and you're like, what the heck? I'm wasting my time having to explain this again while I'm waiting for them to reply to this email. Let me do a quick Google search and see what other options are out there. And then you start to read through, oh, wow, I never thought that we could have this included. Ooh, that's a little bit cheaper, but does it have everything? It does. Let me start a free trial. And then next thing you know, hey, I'm actually going to leave your service. I'm going over here. I may be back, who knows, but I don't want to be here right now because I don't feel valued.
No, I think my wife often says I'm one of the world's worst customers, and it's because I come from. Okay, maybe sometimes I dig my heels in. That is true, but because I come from the technology side, I know what's possible. I know what you should know because you have all of this data as an organization, and you can immediately tell, when something's in triage that doesn't need to be in triage or is being answered by. I mean, I'm being nicer to bots now after reading a lot of AI books where they're like, be nice to these bots, they might be your overlords soon. But so I don't mind a bot experience where it means I can transact and I can get what I need done.
Yes.
What I don't like is when that bot experience fails and I get in a continual loop because then I'm like, well, how do I get out of this? It takes me back to being a telco engineer on the IVR and remembering that I could just stay silent because they had to still accommodate for rotary dial, for example. So I will always try and find a way, which I've probably just aged myself there as well.
No, you're good. You're good.
So, Sarah, before we take a break, let's talk about where you think there's maybe the biggest opportunity to create an exceptional customer experience at the moment.
I think that the biggest opportunity is starting at the very top. I'm talking C-suite. And it's not technologies, it's not resources. It is you need to have people at the top understanding that CX needs to be at the center of the web. It needs to be the core function of your business. This means that CX leadership needs to be respected at the same level that developer leadership is, or marketing, or sales, or all of those folks. They are equals. And the power dynamics are still so messed up when it comes to people within CX. And that needs to change. And they need to have control of their budget. They need to be trusted to get the things that they need and the resources that they need, but they need to be invited to every single meeting. They need to probably be leading every single meeting, because the choices that you make for your products or for your projects or for your new releases or your fixes or all of that, that should just be decided on based on what the people that are already paying for your service are telling you. And if you're coming up with these excuses of we have too much tech debt, no, that's a you problem. That's not a customer problem. Fix the tech debt and then we can reset. Or if they're saying, oh, this is just we've only heard about this thing a couple of times. This isn't that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. What are the statistics for the number of people that stay silent and leave versus the people that actually reach out about issues that they're having with the system? You are dealing with a much bigger problem than you realize. And you won't know that unless you value the people that are talking to the customers, extracting that data just as much, if not more, than any other person within your organization.
I think you had a really pertinent point there where we talked about if you're waiting for a customer to tell you something's wrong, then you're waiting for a small percentage of customers that are then motivated to tell you something's wrong. There is a much bigger iceberg of customers that have probably already decided something's wrong and gone elsewhere.
Yep.
And I think that takes us into maybe we'll now think about something positive and about an experience that you've had. But first, before we do that, we are going to take a short break. So join us after a couple of announcements.
I'm Holt, your AI-powered favorite experience agent. I can see you've contacted us previously, so I'm loading up your favorite Holt music.
Welcome back to my favorite customer experience. I'm here with Sarah, and we are going to walk through one of your favorite customer experiences. So why don't you tell us what was the experience and what made it exceptional?
I love that you're asking this question. And my best recent customer experience is from my local appliance company. We had to get a new stove and a new refrigerator. We've gotten our dishwasher from there. We've gotten our washer and dryer from there. And I gave them a call. They immediately knew who I was. They immediately knew all of the products that I purchased for them, and they knew who I had built a relationship with. They got me right over to Jerry. He's the best. And they are telling me when the best time of the year is to call. And it was a couple of weeks from now. So from when I needed it. And they're like, okay, so this is what I think is going to be coming, but we don't get that information from the providers until we get a little bit closer. But I'll text you as soon as it's time. Sure enough, as soon as he got those numbers, sent me a text. All right, let's build that package so we can get the rebate. This is what you have to do for the rebate. Walked me through everything. Got me all of my things taken out for no charge, got me moved up the list so that I had a faster delivery and turnaround time. I had an issue with my dishwasher in that period of time. They've had somebody in and out faster than you could imagine. And I am okay spending more money than I would at a big box store when that is my experience, because I know no matter what happens to these products, not only will they help me, but they'll know what it is that I'm dealing with because they understand the products that I purchase. They're able to see my profile and pull it up easily. So I don't have to explain things that I don't understand because I know nothing about how a dishwasher works. I just learned that you're supposed to be cleaning filters from a dishwasher. So don't ask me questions about all of the little buttons and nuances. I don't have to know anything. They take care of it. And they make you feel like a VIP person, even though I am one of many. And every single customer experience should be like that because it can be like that. And what I love about it is it shows that the company itself wants so much to make that impact because they understand the value of retention. They understand the value of referrals, that they're giving their teams the tools that they need to be successful. They're giving them the authority to make decisions so that the customer is able to be impacted by these choices, which are discounts and deals and rebates. They give them time to understand these rebates and systems and all of these things. So you don't just get sent a bunch of documents that you then have to read through and interpret on your own. Translating this to tech, super easy. Give them a CRM system, give them a ticketing system, the ones that they pick, not the ones that somebody else picks because they play golf with someone that can give them a deal. Like, that's what it all boils down to. Picking the tools that your team needs to do their job well and allow them the time because you're staffed appropriately. They're well understanding of what the parameters are to just do it and build those relationships and make every person feel special and not rushed and safe to ask another question, because I know that I can call my appliance place anytime I need to with, hey, it's making this weird noise. This is what it sounds like. They'll never think less of me. They will never laugh at me for never cleaning out my filter on my dishwasher. They'll just help me fix the problem. And that's great CX.
I think I was going to ask you how it made you feel. You already mentioned it made you feel like a VIP,
Yeah.
and that you felt safe as well. Like you don't know you're never going to feel judged. Whereas I know when my washing machine has gone wrong, I call up. Funny enough, not my local store, but the one of the big conglomerates we have in the UK. And straight away it's like, oh, have you got insurance? Have you got this? Have you got that? And actually, the service is not bad at all, but it isn't personal. It's not relatable to, well, actually, Mr. Holt, you've had this for 5 years. You've got a house of five, so it probably does need a service occasionally. You might want to do this, this, and this. I mean, I was intrigued there in your buying journey if they delayed your purchase
Yeah.
so that it was in your favor, because in many sales organizations, it's like, well, let's get this booked because we need to get it on the books this month, this week, this quarter. But
Yep.
they turned it around to what would be beneficial to you based on what they anticipated their suppliers bringing in.
Yeah. Yep. And now I know it is, what is it? It is the 4th of July weekend and Black Friday are the only 2 times of the year that you get a really, really good deal on a washer and dryer.
We used to have Boxing Day over here for that, but trying to explain what Boxing Day is for a more global audience is always fun. And this podcast is not old enough for me to get away with just making something up and it not being taken seriously. So did it influence your behaviors at all? I mean, you said you keep on buying from these guys. It sounds like you also recommend as well.
I have at least 10 people that have now become loyal customers and they've recommended it over and over again. I am someone who, when I find a place that does the job well and makes me confident that I have made the right decision, I tell strangers about it. Heck, there was a YouTube channel that my son loved. It's called Truck Tunes, and it's this dad that creates all these songs for all these different vehicles, and they're actually enjoyable to listen to. But I couldn't find any videos of buses, and my son loved school buses when he was like 2 years old, and so we stumbled across this, and it just exploded. And he had the T-shirt of the brand and got everything from their merch store and wore it as a school picture thing, even when it was way too small, but he loved that shirt so much. I tell random people that are just like their kid is carrying around a bus. Hey, have you listened to Truck Tunes yet? Have you done this yet? Go to this YouTube page. You really want to subscribe. I've reached out to the people that do it, and they're so quick to reply because I couldn't find one of their mixes. Truck Tunes 4 was the top mix of all mixes, and I couldn't find it on YouTube anymore. And I sent them a message, and they're like, is this happening again? Oh my gosh, we are going to get back in touch with YouTube and figure out why this thing keeps disappearing. And they were so fast to reply back. And it's those things when you feel great about using these services or going to these channels or allowing people, like you're inviting things into your space whenever you sign up for something or whenever you listen to something. And if it makes me feel like I am using my time well by making this decision, I will then spread that like a wildfire. Whether people want it or not, you are going to hear about how great Truck Tunes is, or about how great S&W appliances are in East Providence, Rhode Island. But why not?
I'm just making a note there of I'm going to be putting in the show notes Truck Tunes 4 specifically.
Look for Truck Tunes 4.
I think also it brings us back to what we said in the first half as well about how customers have a low bar now. But with these services, you actually have a high bar. And that also means if they do get something wrong, you probably have a lot more forgiveness because you have so much more cachet with them already.
Yeah. I mean, I was buying merch for a YouTube channel. What world am I living in where people are gifting us merch for a YouTube channel because I loved it so much, and so does my kid. You never know.
I can understand that. So, Sarah, thank you very much for joining us. Where can people find you if they want to learn a bit more?
Yes, thank you. I'm so pumped that I was here. Thank you for having me. This has been absolutely a joy. You can find me though on LinkedIn. Look for Sarah Caminiti. And I'm probably already connected with somebody that you know. You never know. 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon is a real thing. Also, you can find me on Elevate CX. If you're not a member of the community, if you ask to join, I will be the one that will be giving you the okay and adding you to the crew. And I would be excited to give you a warm welcome. And don't be a stranger. Find Epical Growth wherever you listen to podcasts. But I hope to meet some of these listeners out in the wild.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, we'll put all of those links in the show notes, and I'll have put some QR codes dotted around over the last bit of the conversation. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing your favorite customer experience.
Thank you for listening to My Favorite CX. Your listenership is important to us. On your keypad, please press a number between 1 and 5 to rank how much you've enjoyed your experience.